Hey, welcome everyone. I've got Michelle Seiler Tucker with me, and she has written Exit Rich, a fantastic book. Who doesn't want to exit rich, right? But it's a book about thinking about growing your business from the beginning. She is a super smart woman, and she's here to talk to you today about the things that you need to be aware of, and of course, tell you where you can get her amazing book, Exit Rich. Hey, Michelle, welcome.
Hey, Michelle. Good to be here.
Tell me, what made you write the book? I know you've been in business for a long time, but why the book now?
I've been in business a little over 20 years. My company has sold over 1,000 businesses. And I wrote my very first book in 2013 called Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth. And when I did the research back then, I learned that in America, I'm not sure about New Zealand, but in America, it used to be that 95% of all startups would go out of business. So the startups within 1 to 5 years are at great risk for going out of business. But then I started noticing throughout my career over the last several years that more and more established businesses were dropping like flies. So I did the research for my upcoming book, Exit Rich, that I wrote in 2019 and 2020, and realized that the business landscape in America has changed dramatically. So now it's only 30% of startups will go out of business. It's actually flip flopped. But out of 27.6 million companies, those businesses have been in business for over 10 years. 70% of those businesses will go out of business. 70%. So in America, you hear about the big box companies all the time, like Toys R Us in business 75 years goes out of business. Kmart, Steinmart, Pier 1. Disney stores are going out of business. GNC's closing down 900 locations. Godiva Chocolate's closing down 1,500 locations, but they're not talking about the private companies. They only talk about the public companies. So these business owners are exiting poor, not rich. They're selling for pennies on the dollar, closing their business, or even worse, filing bankruptcy. So that's why I wrote Exit Rich, to really educate business owners, to educate entrepreneurs that it doesn't have to be this way. You don't have to go out of business. The number one reason why these businesses are going out of business is because business owners stop doing what I call AIM, AIM. You always need to innovate and market, always innovate and market. And a lot of businesses that have been in business 10, 15, 20 years, they want to continue to do things the way they've always done. Well, you can't do that because consumers change their buying habits. And
Right.
whoever makes it easiest for consumers to purchase products and services is a company that's going to win. Amazon winning because they make it so easy to purchase products and have it delivered to your house within 2 days anywhere around the world. So that's why I wrote Exit Rich. It's not just about selling your business. It's about building a sustainable business that you can scale. And when you're ready, you can sell for your desired price tag.
That's right. That's right. Evolve or die, right?
What's that?
Evolve or die. You need
Yeah,
to.
that's what I always say. Grow or die. You're either growing or dying. There's really no in between, right? And what goes up must come down. So you got to continue to innovate. You got to continue to market. You got to continue to pivot.
Yeah. And where do you think people go wrong with that? So they come up with a great business idea and they're a startup and they're all passionate about it. And then they find something that works after a couple of years of struggle. They find something that works and they think they've hit the gold, right? And so that's what they do. They stick along with that and they
They
don't
they
change.
yeah, they're sticking to their original concept, like Blockbuster Video. Blockbuster saw Netflix. They saw the writing on the wall. They had the opportunity to purchase Netflix. They sat back and they did nothing. They never innovated and they ended up out of business. Same thing with Toys R Us. Tell me one new thing that Toys R Us did in 75 years. They did really nothing to innovate. So consumers' habits change. If you're going to stay in business, you have to really interview your clients and ask them, what do you need? What do you want? What's your problem? What solution? How can I make your life easier? How can I make it easier for you to do business with us? The company that asks those questions is a company that's going to win.
And what do you
And business owners stop asking the questions.
why do you think they stop asking for feedback from customers? Is it because they think that they've nailed it, or is it because they're afraid of the answer?
I think they just become complacent. I think they become complacent. They're busy working in their business and not on their business. They're not paying attention to the trends. They're not paying attention to who's innovating. They're not paying attention to the signs. I mean, Amazon kind of came from nowhere. Remember, Amazon was a bookseller fulfilling book orders. And then all of a sudden, bam, they're this worldwide conglomerate, fulfilling products around the world for everybody. So yeah, as a business owner, you gotta pay attention. You gotta look at the signs, not just in your own industry, but you got to look at what companies are doing around you and learn from them. And you got to look at, what are the problems that exist? Here's the bottom line. If you don't keep solving problems, you won't stay in business. If you don't become a solution provider, you won't stay in business.
Mm.
So Amazon is a solution provider.
That's right. And it's not just once a year that Amazon sits down and looks at what they're doing, right? Like it's constant innovation. Like
It's constant innovation.
weekly and then monthly and then quarterly. You have cycles that you need to go through
Yeah.
to review and improve continuously.
And Apple was the same way. Apple was the same way. When Steve Jobs came back, Apple was almost out of business. Steve Jobs came in and said, look, what business are we in? What did we do really, really well? What business should we be in? And Steve Jobs continued to innovate, innovate, innovate. He came up with products that we looked at. And I remember the first time I saw the iPad, and I'm like, oh my God, I would never use an iPad. That's so stupid. Why would you use an iPad and not a laptop? And now I have like 12 in my business. You go to a doctor's office and they all have iPads. You go to a car dealership and they have iPads, everybody uses iPads. So you got to be preeminent. I mean, Steve Jobs is like, we go create the demand. Sometimes you just got to create the demand. You got to create it before the consumer actually knows they need it and want it.
And
right?
what about if a business owner is not there's a particular type of person that can come up with ideas and it's visionary, right? And if you're not a visionary in your business, you can get support from a visionary, right? It doesn't have to come from you.
Exactly. Now, most entrepreneurs are visionaries. A lot of entrepreneurs are visionaries. The problem with entrepreneurs is they get stuck working in their business. They get stuck in a day-to-day task of their business. They get stuck putting out fires. They get stuck dealing with problems, So when you're stuck, it's hard to visualize and think of what you should be doing on your business from a 20-foot perspective because you're in the middle of it. Business owners got to stop working in their business and work on their business so they can continue to come up with these extraordinary visions that they're capable of doing. If you're not a visionary, then you're right. You can align with somebody who is.
Yeah. And you have to take the time to do that. If you don't create the space to work on your business, it's not just going to magically, your calendar's just not going to magically dissolve and there's going to be time for you to do it. You need to create the space.
Well, you got to create the space and you really got to, always tell my business owners, keep a diary of a week, 2 weeks, a month, and figure out what you do, write down everything you do from the moment you get up to the moment you go to bed, even if that's brush your teeth. And then once you do that, then put them into 3 buckets, bucket A, bucket B, bucket C. Bucket A are those tasks that only you can do. These are your core competencies that you can't delegate. For me, it's writing my books. I tried ghostwriters, they're terrible. I would never hire a ghostwriter again. Only I can write my books. Nobody else can write my books because the content is in my head. Me doing these podcasts, probably only I can do these podcasts. So bucket A are those core competencies that only you, the leader, can do. Bucket B are those core competencies that I'm really, really good at. Like I'm great at evaluations. I'm great at negotiations. I'm great at, so many things, but I have a whole team of analysts that can do that. Those are things that you can do, but you really should delegate. And then bucket C are those energy sappers, things that you should never do, like do your own grocery shopping. In your office, run your errands. You got to figure out what you get paid per hour. And then if your time is worth, $100 an hour, then hire somebody for $15 an hour to do those things in bucket C. But at the end of the day, we talk about the 6 Ps and building the right infrastructure in my book, Exit Rich. People is number 1. Too many entrepreneurs are trying to do everything. You will never grow unless you let go of the control. Entrepreneurs must focus on their strengths, hire their weaknesses, put the right people in the right seats, and ask the who question. Who opens the door? Who handles accounting, marketing, legal, manufacturing, logistics? The clue here, Michelle, is you should never be next to the who because you want to build the business to run without you.
Exactly. And bucket A is where the magic is. Like it's your magic, right? No one can replace it.
Bucket A is where the magic happens because that's where you come up with all these brilliant ideas. And you can't do that. You also need an integrator. So the visionary is, the entrepreneur, the CEO, you need an integrator because think about it. Entrepreneurs can come up with so many ideas, But guess what? They're just ideas until somebody integrates them, until somebody implements them. So you need an integrator who takes that vision from the entrepreneur and gets it into the teams and gets it integrated.
Yeah. And people get scared about hiring a big team, but I mean, you can start with contractors, if you haven't got enough money to hire full-time people, then start with contractors, but start
You can start with contractors. You can also start with interns. There's colleges all around us. And you know what? Students learn theory. They don't learn tactical. You learn by doing. And there's so many colleges where students can't even graduate unless they have an internship. So you can, I have 5 colleges around me. We have a waiting list of interns. So go to your college, go to your local community college and get on their list, and start advertising for interns. Here's the bottom line. If you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So now let's talk a little bit about your book. What's your favorite chapter in there?
Oh my gosh. It's like saying what child is your favorite? It's very difficult because it's very hard for me to say what chapter is my favorite, because the first half of the book, well, the first, couple chapters are all about mindset and all about when you should sell your business and how to determine the right time for you. And there's different exercises to take in that book to really get clear on psychology and really get clear on what you want to do, what you don't want to do, what your beginning strategy is going to be, because unless you plan your beginning strategy, you'll never follow through on your exit strategy. And then it's also a chapter dedicated to the STGPS exit, how to plan your exit from day one of buying or starting your business. Like Stephen Covey says, start with the end in mind, and then there's 6 chapters dedicated to each P in the ST6Ps. And those are very important because that is the solid foundation. That's the infrastructure of your business. Those are the synergies that buyers are willing to pay top dollar for.
Right.
And then the second half is about valuations and packaging and negotiations and 5 types of buyers and getting to the closing table.
Yeah. And obviously you've bought and improved and sold many businesses of your own and helped thousands of other people do that as well. And is there any particular type of business that you enjoy buying the most?
Did I enjoy buying the most or partnering with the most?
Yeah, partnering.
Really buying for me, it has to be a niche. You're not going to see me buy a restaurant or anything like that. It has to be a niche. Same thing with partnering with a business owner. I'm not going to partner in a restaurant. I'm not going to partner in a retail store. It's going to be something that is very niche. And the reason for that is because I just feel like, so much competition in restaurants, so much competition in this, so much competition in that. I like niche businesses. As far as selling, we're industry agnostic. So we've sold pretty much every business in every industry you can imagine. We are more EBITDA specific. So I focus on EBITDA of $1 million and up. But I do have a whole team of transaction facilitators that sell smaller businesses under $1 million.
And where to next for you? Like Exit Rich sounds amazing. Where to next?
What's that?
Where to next? Exit Rich.
Oh, where to next? Yeah, it's so funny because I don't know how I top Exit Rich, but I remember, with my publisher, and they had a whole naming team trying to come up with a name, and they came up with like Exit on Top and Exit this and Exit that. And I'm like, those are terrible titles. And they're like, well, what do you like? I said, well, I like Exit Rich. And I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Let's go with that one. But it took us a while to actually come up with that name, Exit Rich. But what's next? I probably have about 5, 6, 7 more books in me.
Great. And do you have somewhere special that you like to go and write?
I write at my house. I write at my house upstairs in my home office. I was just on a podcast earlier, and he asked me about, how do you write your book? And for me, it's not easy, but it is easy, meaning that I don't take years to write a book. I take 6 weeks, and I always write during a specific time. So I start writing like right around Thanksgiving, and I write all through December, and I usually finish around the 1st or 2nd week of January.
Right. So you kind of and come back out when the weather's a little bit better.
Well, the reason I picked that time frame, and because everybody's like, oh my God, you're writing during the holidays, that's crazy. The reason I picked that time frame is because we're usually slower in business during that time of year. And I'll get up at 4:30 a.m. and work every day, 5-6 days a week. I write till 5-6 o'clock at night, taking a few breaks in between. And I picked that time frame because it's really the slowest and it works for me. I know a specific time and when I need to start and when I'm going to be done. If I tried to write a book for a couple of years, it would drive me crazy because there's no end in sight.
Exactly.
I need an end. I need to see the end. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. And do you have any parting wisdom? Like if there's one thing that you want our listeners to know, what is it?
I'm really passionate about, did you ask me about passion or about wisdom?
Wisdom.
Oh, wisdom. Okay. Wisdom. I think it's wise. A lot of entrepreneurs think it's lonely, and it could be, but I think it's wise to always support yourself. You are who you hang out with. Want to be rich, hang out with rich people. Want to be successful, hang out with successful people. You want to be a really successful entrepreneur, go pick a mentor. Find somebody who's been down the road you want to travel, because your path will become much shorter because they've already made the mistakes. Learn from other people's mistakes. Entrepreneurs love helping other entrepreneurs. The more successful entrepreneurs are, the more they love to give back in their time and their money, and they love to help other entrepreneurs become successful. So entrepreneurship doesn't have to be lonely. Team up, join some networks and find a mentor who will shorten your learning curve dramatically.
Yeah. And since you talked about passion, let's see what comes out there.
Oh, my passion. Well, I have a daughter that I'm extremely passionate about who's 10, and she's more complicated than any transaction I've ever done. But my true passion in business is just really business. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I would get so excited to hear how someone started a multi-million-dollar, multi-billion-dollar corporation out of their pickup truck selling one product at a time to a retail store. Or somebody started a multi-million-dollar skincare on their kitchen table and they have an 8th grade education. So entrepreneurship is my passion. I love helping business owners. It's my passion to save one business at a time from going out of business in the United States and help business owners really sell for their desired sales price so they can exit rich.
That's great. And is your 10-year-old daughter set to be an entrepreneur, do you think? Can you tell already?
I think she is, because she's like me. She doesn't like to be told what to do.
Yep.
And I knew at 6 years old, I was going to be an entrepreneur and be my own boss, because my biggest pet peeve is people telling me what to do.
Yeah.
My husband still tries to tell me what to do. And I'm like, have you not learned 25 years later that doesn't work? Don't tell me what to do. So I think so, because like I said, she marches to the beat of her own drum. She's not a follower. She is 1,000% a leader, and she is very lovable. Everybody loves following her. And so that's what an entrepreneur really is, right? A leader.
Exactly. Fantastic. It's been so great to talk to you, Michelle. So much wisdom, so much advice. And where can we buy your book, Exit Rich?
All right. So Exit Rich comes out June 22nd. We're so excited. But you don't have to wait till June 22nd. You can go to exitrichbook.com. And at exitrichbook.com for $24.79, which is less than Amazon, we will email you the digital download immediately, so you can start reading Exit Rich today. For anyone inside the United States, we will ship the hardcover to your doorstep for no additional cost. Anyone outside in the United States, like New Zealand, there's additional shipping costs for that, unfortunately. And then we will give you a lifetime membership into the Exit Rich Book Club, where there's video content and me taking listeners into deep dives of different strategies and techniques that I've been teaching in the trenches for the last 20 years to business owners, plus documents to operate your business, documents to sell your business. So we have sample training manuals, sample policy and procedures, employee handbooks, employee non-competes. To sell your business, we have sample letter of intents, purchase agreements, closing docs, due diligence checklist. All these documents are there for your review and your download. These documents will cost you thousands upon thousands of dollars if you went to an attorney to recreate. Plus, we're giving a 30-day free membership into Club CEOs. And Club CEOs is an entrepreneur mastermind that I founded to really help business owners. We do Q&As, hot seats, to help business owners ask those transformational questions so they can pivot, so that they can build a sustainable, scalable, and when they're ready, sellable business. All for $24.79 at exitrichbook.com.
That sounds amazing. Those documents will be priceless.
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm sure that plenty of our listeners will be buying that book. Thank you very much.